I am joined on the UK Drum Show official podcast by the event organizer himself, Mr. Neil Golding. Yeah, how are you?
Good evening, Ollie. Good evening.
How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. You
Good.
find me in my car at the end of a very busy day, so your audience will have to take me as they find me, I'm afraid.
No, this is good. This is fun. Look, you've pulled over, so you're safe. That's what we care about, and we're going to have some fun with you. Talk about the UK Drum Show, and we will provide you with enough energy to get you safely to your next destination by giving you lots of energy through laughing. I hope.
Thank you
Um,
very much.
Now, you obviously know how the UK Drum Show podcast works. We don't go straight into chatting. We play a quick game of this or that. And I thought, do you know what, Neil? Even though you're not drumming on the main stage of the UK Drum Show, as you are the event organizer, I thought we could still play a game of this or that with you, whereby you just have to choose one of the two things that I present to you as your favorite, and you don't have to give an explanation as to why. Would you like to play?
Go for it.
Okay. Neil, which has the most iconic drum intro? We Will Rock You by Queen or Rosanna, a Toto?
Oh, that's a good one, isn't it?
What do you reckon?
Ooh. For nostalgia's sake, and as a Toto fan, it's got to be Rosanna.
Okay. Um, which is better, a big drum kit or a small drum kit? Does size matter?
Size doesn't matter. I'm sure a small bop kit is absolutely fine.
Okay. Neil, do you prefer an indoor event or heading to a festival to see a band?
Oh, I think it's got to be festival.
Okay, interesting. Do you prefer Apple or Spotify?
Oh, I think Apple. I'm a bit of an Apple diehard, I'm afraid.
Okay. And your last one, a physical release or streaming your music? Which do you prefer?
Mm. For the instant nature of it, probably streaming.
Wow. Okay. It's interesting. Now, look, for those that don't know, you are Mr. UK Drum Show. You are the person that puts together this amazing weekend of drums. I know you've got a fabulous team of people behind you that also, help you very much put on this wonderful event. Through doing the UK Drum Show and within this world, what has been the biggest Spinal Tap moment for you? What has happened within the UK Drum Show organising and behind the scenes that you've thought that could have been on Spinal Tap?
Oh my goodness me. Um,
Has anyone requested, five white doves on their rider? Have you, what kind of springs to mind?
yeah, I mean, we've had some requests, but I don't know whether I would reveal what they might be or who they might be from. Um, I think on a personal level for me, it's probably been just in the instance of those particular drummers that have been in a band capacity, hearing those drum tracks from the drummer that was instrumental or played those particular tunes on just a song that's meant so much to me over the years.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. That's cool. Um, Listen, give us some background about the UK Drum Show. How did it start? How was it born? And what inspired you to kickstart this amazing event?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd been involved in publishing with Drummer Magazine for a number of years. And with that, I was involved through a family business. We launched the London Drum Show, which many of your audience or our audience may be aware of or attended. And without boring people with all the detail, the shows got changed through different publishers and different businesses, and the owners of the shows just became further and further and distant away from the front line, and really what the kind of community and the vibe was really all about. And for me, I could see if I was part of that when continuing that journey, that it just wouldn't have the same feel. It just wouldn't have the same vibe. So I made a decision back in 2017 after running the London Drum Show for, oh crikey, it may have been 6 or 7 years, just to
Wow.
strike out on my own, dig deep, take a risk. And thankfully the companies, the exhibitors that had known me for all those years, that they got behind me, supported it. And it was really just to ensure that the community had this show for them going forwards. And without naming names or companies that had bought the London Drum Show and other shows as a bulk buy, just to generalize, those shows don't exist anymore.
Mm.
So the gut feeling to go our own way has ensured that we've got a drum show for drummers in the UK.
And it's an amazing event. It really, really is. A few weeks ago, you posted on your Instagram the opportunity for your followers to ask some questions directly to you. And one of the questions that came through was, what does the UK drum show offer beginners? We know you've had a background within drum shows for so many years, but what do you think
Yeah.
specifically this has come through? What can the UK drum show offer to beginners?
Well, I'd like to think it's multifaceted. I mean,
Mhm.
there'll be a reason why young drummers have potentially got into drumming in the first place, and quite often, it can be a number of things, but it's generally a love of music, or a particular drummer or a particular artist that they like, they follow, or they admire from afar. So I suppose, from that point of view, you've got, the legends and some of the new online talent that appear on the main stage.
Mhm.
So hopefully that gives them the engagement and motivation by seeing some of their heroes play.
Yes.
But the one thing that I observed more so last year in 2023 was just how many young people were at the show. I mean, there were even
Mhm.
children in buggies there, you know,
Mhm.
um, young people that could barely touch the pedals, having a go, playing drums. And it varied from such a small age right up to, teenagers and everything in between.
Mhm.
So the takeaway from that for me was thinking, right, what can we do for 2024 to reward their efforts and their commitment to learning to play drums? And
Mm.
that was to launch Mainstage Mini.
Yes. Which has gone down
Which
so well.
it has, yeah. I mean, we've had a good share of young people and certainly a good share of parents getting in contact with us to put forward, some really fantastic YouTube videos of their children
Mm.
playing. Um, and I think the selection process, I mean, everyone will have an opinion about how we've chosen those that are going to appear at this year's show. But for
Mhm.
us, we wanted a variety. We didn't want everybody to be, level 4, level 5, whatever the highest grade they could get. We wanted those that were possibly just starting out but had got
Mhm.
a good feeling and an understanding of drumming, but maybe have not started the formal education process yet, and
Mhm.
others that have been right through the formal drumming process, and others that in some instances have been, runners up in the Mike Dolbear Young Drummer of the Year that have applied. So
Mhm.
it's a real cross section, but the emphasis is to champion the young drummers, and that's why they now have their own room dedicated exactly for them.
I can't wait to see it. I really can't. You touched upon, Neil, the selection process for drummers to play at the UK Drum Show. How do you make those decisions as to not only, who's going to play some of the smaller rooms, but also who's going to, take a huge place on the main stage?
Yeah, I mean, it's a question I get asked quite a lot with main stage, and it's a multitude of different things. I suppose from a visitor's point of view, we'd like to try and have as mixed genres and as much different representation as I can. And what I mean by that is, we'll have rock, we'll have prog, metal, jazz, funk. It's really to have a mixture because we, you know, one drummer might not be all things to everybody. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
so it's really we look at the artists that we have and look at the mixture of the types of music they may play. It may be it's a session drummer. It might be somebody that's part of a band, but it's really a mixture. Um, I suppose there are always artists that we kind of conclude the show or the previous year's shows where we're thinking we would really like to have them, but anybody that is good and active and at the top of their game, it is a bit of a lottery because they may have commitments, and they just can't commit to the show. Or we've had it before. We had Stevie Wonder's drummer lined up, Stanley Randolph. We'd booked and paid for a flight, hotel, everything, and within a matter of hours of doing that, it was like, sorry, I gotta go, Stevie needs me, that's it. So sometimes things can come to fruition and we get the person that we're after getting and it falls through. And equally, there are people that we pursue that they may not know their tour schedule till much closer to the time. So
Yes.
so it's a mixture of those things. And then of course that we have the brands themselves that are exhibiting that might want to say, look, we've got this person available, or we've got somebody up and coming, would you like to give them an opportunity? So it's
Right.
it's a real mixture.
And I think my first year at being at the UK Drum Show was 2023, and the first thing, Neil, that I noticed was just how friendly everybody was. Everybody just seems to attend the event with almost open arms to one another. I saw drummers in the auditorium almost like sharing notes on their phone. And what do you
Yeah.
think it is about drummers that makes them so kind of, I suppose, extrovert and approachable?
I just think that they are open-minded with sharing. I think, because they're often sat at the back,
Yes.
they're behind the band, but then, drummers, they keep, they are the rhythm section, part of the rhythm section. They keep everything together. And
Mhm.
I think drummers are, for that reason, I think they're very good communicators with what they're trying to achieve to hold everything together. um and we've seen it other events I've been involved with in the past. They don't have that camaraderie that drummers do. They're very open and willing to share, and it isn't a case of look at me. It's a case of, well, how did you do that? And
Yes.
they'll find the time to share and explain that their skills and their wisdom. And it's I think it's just something unique to drummers that do that.
And they seem to just be so supportive in nature, don't they? I mean, at the UK Drum Show last year, I remember standing in the wings of the main stage, and alongside me was all the other drummers that were performing over the weekend, watching that drummer on stage. And they come off and they go, "Hey man, how'd you do that?" Or what the hell were you doing with your feet and things like that. And you're absolutely right. Drummers are. Uh, Obviously, I'm biased, but I just think drummers are just made of different stuff, aren't they?
I think they are, and it was very interesting. I mean, we've got, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but we have Mike Johnson, who's a resident at the UK Drum Show, and we're very grateful to have him and his guest offer advice and lessons and education over the course of the weekend.
Mhm.
And and what's exciting with with what you were just saying is that you can have somebody that's very active, very education focused, but yet still very open minded with seeing something. And I think it might have been a case where I observed from a distance, just the wonder of Mike Johnson watching Grayson play main
Mhm.
stage last year. And there was
Mhm.
a group of drummers that had appeared on across the campus throughout the UK Drum Show weekend, stood backstage watching Grayson do his thing. And it
Yes.
just goes to show you that it doesn't matter whatever level of experience that you've got, there's still always something to learn and share, and experience. And I think that's another opportunity across the board with the drum show as well. It's just endless opportunities for sharing and opportunities, really.
I completely agree. I mean, obviously, we're talking about the main stage here, but we've got to open the doors to the fact that the UK Drum Show is not just a main stage. There are rooms dotted around the entire venue, ranging from capacities for between 50 and right up to 400 or 500. And then downstairs, you've got a huge kind of exhibition of drums and cymbals and electric drums and sticks and
Yeah,
merchandise. It's not just coming for the main stage. It's coming, and there's rooms for, as you say, education.
yeah,
There's a main
yeah,
main stage mini for young people. why uh, at a time where the cost of living crisis is through the roof at the moment, and obviously, as you know, people are struggling. Why should people come to the UK Drum Show? What is it about this event, Neil, that is just so spectacular and so special?
Oh yeah, I mean you're leading me up the path here, aren't you? I mean I mean I'm naturally going to be enthusiastic about all the elements of the show, that's for sure. I think from being a family-run show, a family man myself, um, when it comes to costs and budgets, we're very mindful of that. I think when we look at the ticket pricing, we it's hardly fluctuated in years, because we do want to make it affordable for people to come along and take a lesson, see a main stage performance, check out any of the new things we've got on the campus this year. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's I think it's value for money, I guess. And the other thing is, I think at the heart of the drumming community, one can't overlook the fact that there are a limited amount of quality drum retailers in the country, and they're there to service drummers all year round. We're only there for a weekend,
Mhm.
but what it does do is it drives ambition for some, motivation for others, um, and I think it helps assist just driving the generations of drummers, and also driving interest into those drum stores as well, because people don't necessarily walk out with a drum kit under their arm. They'll come along to the show, they'll be motivated, they might go into the local drum shop, which is another community in itself.
Yes.
um so it's multifaceted, isn't it, really? But I think as a whole, it's a drummers weekend. It is the one weekend of a year that everybody can come together, they can catch up with pals, they can check out idols, and we've added more content. We've got the digital drumming room this year, which is another new feature, for those that want to learn more about that, the technology, how it's implemented, etc. The main stage mini, the experience rooms, as you say, when we've got more to announce on those coming very, very soon. So I suppose as a consumer myself, or somebody that ever visits shows or festivals, as we spoke about earlier, there's it's the most satisfying thing if you've come along, you've bought a ticket, and you come away and go, wow, I've really,
Yes.
really enjoyed that. Whatever it was about the show, we've really liked it. We thought it's great value for money. We've seen idols, we've had a lesson, we've done some digital drumming. My children have now involved as well, potentially, with main stage mini. So it's a family show. So I think that's really the heart of it.
I completely concur with all those statements and sentiments. Absolutely. One thing that really stuck out for me was when I was just walking around the venue, all the drummers were also just walking around. They weren't hiding backstage. They weren't, worrying about who might come over and say hello. I think, I remember Craig Blundell last year. He was just chatting to loads of people outside, and
Yeah,
Darby Todd was chatting to everyone. And that's the thing. It's just the community. It's about the type of personality drummers are, and there's no
yeah.
egos there, and they
There's
put
no
themselves out there.
hierarchy. Yeah, there's no hierarchy, and that's nice. And it's fantastic to see. So, whether it's drum legends or, you know, uh, YouTube entrepreneurs that have graced the stages across the campus, they find time, both on a personal level, to have a look around, because they're a drummer too. They might be performing on a stage or giving a
Yeah.
lesson, but they still want to go and check out the latest gear. Or I can remember, a few years ago when the show was previously in Manchester, Nikki Gillespie, Beyonce's drummer. I mean, she said, I'm here to perform and I'm a drummer, but because you've got all these other drummers here, I admire them too. So for me, it's good for me to go and sit in and watch them.
Mhm.
So, it's lovely to hear that they're there for the show as well as being part of the show. um, and and they get out and amongst the people, and they'll find time. There was signing sessions and things, and people will stop for selfies, and you know very, very approachable. But I
Yes.
think it just, again, just comes down to the nature of drummers. They're very happy to find the time to talk to you.
Well, look, before we wrap things up, you've got an amazing lineup, not only for all the rooms that go on, as you mentioned earlier, the education rooms, the main stage minis, you know, your Mike Dolber rooms. There's so much going on, but obviously the main stage, you've got artists like Chris Coleman, Nick Collins, you've got Ray Hearn, you've got Keith Carlock. There are just some huge names that
Yeah.
are gracing us this year. Um, one of my last questions to you, and this is going to be really cheeky, but it's part of my job to be cheeky with you. Who has so far been, if you can say, who's been the most expensive drummer you've ever had to pay to come out to play the UK drum show? Who have you, who have you gone, oh, it's worth it, but it's going to hurt?
I
Or can you
don't
not
think
say?
I really wouldn't want to. I really wouldn't want to say, because I suppose the cost of the drummer, you know, it's all about value, and it's also about what you are putting on for your guests, and you have to
Yes.
take. Sometimes you have to take an informed decision. You know, it may be somebody that um, you know, hasn't ever done the show before. They
Yes.
seldom ever become available, but they happen to have a slot. So sometimes in those instances, we would make an exception.
Yes.
And thankfully, as you'll notice from a lot of the announcements we make, you know,
Mhm.
the a lot of the artist support is supported by the brand. So, you know, we would like to extend a huge thank you to all the brands, because not only are they exhibiting, they're also helping support the various artists who travel from all over the world to appear across the campus. So yeah, I wouldn't like to say who's the most expensive. I'd just like to think they were probably very good value for money, and
Yes.
that's what the decision that we made at the time.
Amazing. Obviously, touching across the main stage weekend, I've mentioned a few names already, but you've got on the Saturday Corey Fonville, John Stainer, Nick Collins, Chris Coleman, Annika Niles, and Santonia Scavelli, and of course Keith Carlock. On the Sunday, you've got Ray Hearn, Ali Richardson, Lena Anderberg, Jay Poststones, Kenny Arnoff, and Aquilas Priester, and it's just going to be the most wonderful event of the year, and we can't wait to be part of it. Neil, where can people find tickets for the UK Drum Show?
Yeah, so of course, people can visit the UK Drum website, which is just literally theukdrumshow.com. Or, of course, if they visit, they're for a follower or want to jump on our Facebook page, there is a ticket link on there to Ticket Quarter, which is a ticket affiliate with the ACC at Liverpool.
Amazing. Neil, we can't wait for the event. I know you've got a lot more work to do. All we've got to do is sit back and wait for September, September 28th and 29th at the AC Liverpool, the UK Drum Show 2024. We are so excited, and I will see you in September.
Not long to wait now, eh?
Not long.